Okay, I know. It's been a really good but very long day. You must be tired, plus it's Monday. So I spent this afternoon just cutting down on the theory and trying to make it more fun and engaging, so you enjoy, hopefully, the next 20 minutes. So let me tell you something about myself. I am an anthropologist. I have my BA degree in philosophy and history of science. I have my master's degrees in cultural and philosophical anthropology. And at last, I have PhD in social cultural anthropology, and I work in science and technology studies, STS. In my master's, I've spent 2 years analyzing the Voyager and Pioneer message, not really interested what the aliens would think, but really wanting to find out how we think about ourselves. What is it to be human in the Euro-American area in the late 20th century? Which then I extended on in my PhD with the title, The Charming Science of the Other. It's cultural analysis of the scientific search for life beyond Earth, starting with scientific. And the idea was to introduce science as culturally situated, contextualize the other life hypothesis as a dialogue between culture of science and scientific culture. And what I did was a multi-sided ethnographic research amongst indigenous people of the modern West, so that's you. It was a hard work. I worked mostly with qualitative data, but of course, having been trained in sociology, I've also included some qualitative data just to have a real cross-comparison. And really, I started to work on the scientific developments, but then I realized science impacts on society, and we all know that science transforms society. And what I would like to introduce today is how science impacts on society, how it's changed over the time, and how it's related to astrobiology. So, I promise just 2 terms today. One is culture of science, introduced by Franklin in 1995, and scientific culture, which is known as the beginning of the debate about his anthropology of science and how anthropology can really study scientists and impact of science on society. So culture of science is based on the idea that every science or scientific team has its own culture, that science is not one massive thing that is not changing at all. On the contrary, it changes, it develops over the time, which is the structure of scientific revolution. You might have heard that one. But also it depends on people who do the science and on people who receive the science. And these are the one in scientific culture. So scientific culture, it's the indigenous peoples of the modern West, that's us, who's been going to school. Obviously, you are a high-level scientist, but imagine anyone walking on the street will know basic terms in mathematics, physics, chemistry. Regular people on the street. So, this is an example of culture of science. So obviously that's the pioneer message sent to the outer space by NASA in 1972. Here you have a representation of a human couple. And this is the map position of Earth using pulsars. Here is the representation of the solar system. You may see it's out of date because Pluto is still listed as a planet. Anymore. So that's the culture of science. And now, scientific culture. Meet Bob, software engineer, who took part in this online forum, but scientific tattoos. So Bob thinks that send out a message is a great idea. He really is happy with the concepts that's been sent, and that is his tattoo. I would like also to draw your attention to this amazing selfie style with a mirror, which is also very interesting. So these are the two, scientific culture and cultural science. When I started to work on my dissertation, I really was just looking into NASA sending out some messages, and then obviously the SETI Institute. But as my work unfolded, which was in 2009, I realized that the growing importance of astrobiology, which when I initially started was a not that established scientific discipline yet, really has changed over the past couple of years. So I extended the original research proposal to astrobiology as well. Here I call it exploring or exploration because it's both the search for extrasolar planets and both the work of astro or exobiology. So that's just an umbrella term for it. Here is a little overview I made as a student just to find out what's really in mind of people. So we have advanced life forms, which is obviously what SETI are expecting to get, intelligent technological civilization, something like Earthlings but more advanced. Life in pre-development or early stages of development, that is the work of astrobiology, and unknown. We don't know what's out there, and some scientists I interviewed agreed that is actually unknown is the best definition of what is it. Both SETI and astrobiology are trying to find. So I call it the missing subject. Initially, again, only with SETI, because they're trying to find something that probably doesn't exist. If it exists, they don't know when, where, and how it looks, but it might be somewhere. But the question whether there is other life in the universe, we share the same. It is the profound question. Who are we? Where do we come from? And are we alone? So it's still open-ended answer, open-ended question. But one of the scientists I interviewed asked, this is the big if, the missing subject matter, the thing or the unknown. And also it came to interest of other anthropologists, namely Stephen Helmreich of the MIT, who described the astrobiology as life forms at limits of its definition. And he did work in the deep sea vents, you know, where the microbes live. So that's his work in anthropology. And to a scientist, astrobiologist, it's crystal clear how the extraterrestrial life may look like. But when you walk on the street and you start asking people what that is, you end up with an amazing variety of answers. So similarly, when I started, people in my department started going, oh, that's Clara, that's the one that studies the aliens. And then I had once a call from my mum who tried to explain to somebody what is it I was doing. And she said, are you doing this like flying stuff, like this UFO? And I'm like, no, Mum. And I started to explain. It's like, oh, yeah, so it's about these microbes they found on Mars. Okay, that's fine. You may continue. So she was pleased. But from a social cultural perspective, imagine science and science fiction and all these amazing stories are just distributed towards public in a popular culture. But notably these days, with the power of social media, internet, and the more and more connected worlds, these ideas are distributed globally to millions and millions of people worldwide. So one of the anthropologists noticed on any ordinary day, to the extent that there is such thing, I see an awful lot of aliens. So imagine, in a week time, what is it you can see in media or newspapers? And also, here is the role of science fiction. First one, known, Alien, 1979. Here is the new life form being born, which is not a nice experience. Predator, 1987. Again, thousands and millions of people playing the online game until these days. Independence Day, you know, the world is going to be destroyed. So that is a typical idea people get when we talk about aliens, which of course, you know, I can see some people like nodding, no, that's not it. Oh, well, this is the story that's responsible for that. It's The War of the Worlds, the novel by H.G. Wells, published in 1886, I believe, which is more than 100 years ago, which has received great coverage in media, especially because Orson Welles broadcast in 1946 in America. We have recordings that people listening to the radio play on radio believe that was the actual commentary on the alien attack. And about 1 million of them had a horrible panic. Some of them started to leave the houses. Then again, it's a new remake of the story that's been seen by millions of people. And I'm sure you know this one, which relates to the pictures you've seen before. That is, it's going to be a real struggle for survival. As an anthropologist, if I may say, we don't say American Indians. It's politically incorrect. It's Native Americans. Just so you know. But look, the Center for Public Opinion, which one potential global crisis you fear the most? We have alien invasion here with 6% of oil shortage. And that is the serious research, quantitative. That's what they find out. Another one, it's the online survey of 2,000 people in the UK to mark the Royal Society's 350th anniversary in 2010, with 45% of people believe that extraterrestrial life exists. What's really interesting is they don't really think that measuring and tackling climate change should be a top priority for the science community. Oh well. That is what I'm trying to, the point here is I'm trying to show you what is the public perception of science, okay? It's different from how scientists present their work. But what is it you likely encounter in popular culture is this. So that's been actually published by The Guardian. Again, the question is there UFO? Are they coming to Earth to abduct us, whatever? This is another famous personality, E.T. the extraterrestrial. Again, you know, the alien life form here became a friend, a buddy, somebody, wants to call home, and it's not really dangerous anymore, which is another shift in perceiving the otherness. That is the UFO museum. Here is children. They don't really seem to be scared or anything, just enjoying themselves. And on a serious note, in social cultural anthropology, we have cases of UFO religious groups. That is one of the most, the oldest one, with about 1 million of believers who do believe that, the extraterrestrials came to Earth and they are children. But if you think about the concept, it really is what astrobiology is trying to do as well, by looking on the origins of life. Like, do we originate on Earth, or has some meteorite brought some sort of microbes here? I know it's entirely different approach to study this, but what I was trying to say, the idea behind is similar. And this one, that's a very popular or typical thing in mass media. Everything is mixed up in one, so this is a really interesting research that's been done in 2010. They asked people, 1 in 5, do you believe in aliens? And as you can see here, about 40% from India and China believe that aliens walk amongst us. And there is an idea that it really depends on the religion and on the configurations of the culture, whether they willingly accept the idea, and if yes, in what form. So it seems that in India and China, there are, in their culture and their history, there is a space for mystical beings that have been not evaluated by science yet. So they are likely to perceive this as possible. And sorry about that, David, but Sweden 8%. Well, another proof, opinion matters in 2012, have a look. 53 people believe in the existence of life on other planets, but only 44 believe in God. With Northern Ireland, belief in aliens stands at 30%. My question as an anthropologist is that because of the religion? Is that because the Ireland is mostly Catholic as opposed to the United Kingdom? Well, or the England, Scotland and Wales, to be correct. The question whether there's life elsewhere is of a great significance, and that's why we had a study on astrobiology in the Vatican. who was assembled by the Pope himself, and here you have an official statement by the director of the Vatican Observatory, who says there is no contradiction. When God created us as creatures, he might have created others. If we can consider some earthly creatures as brothers or sisters, we could not speak of a brother alien. He would also belong to the creation. And here you see again how religion adapts to the society and to the development. However, this is how the news being commented in the Telegraph. Can you see my point? What's happening when it's sort of the idea is sent out to the popular culture? And later, the 4Bs informed that actually finding extraterrestrial life would be just a metaphysical yawn, because people still think that life is there already anyway, so why not? Potential effect on religion is overstated. Well, you've seen the point in the slide before. Finding evidence for ancient Mars life might be deja vu all over again. I guess that is the hint to the 1995 or 6 discovery. If extraterrestrial intelligence is out there, it's likely to be hundreds, if not thousands, light year away, 5 minutes ago. And the anthropic principle may not matter to a generation race on reality. Well, interesting thing. Sorry about the quality of the image. I didn't manage to get higher resolution, but look, here, 40 years old and over, they only have about 20% of believing extraterrestrial life exists. Then again, let me just remind you, when I say extraterrestrial life, it really doesn't say, or people don't state what exactly the life looks like. It's just life somewhere. So some of them may refer to alien spaceships, some of them may refer to some creature they've seen in science fiction, or some other people may mean a scientific concept. Anyway, and when you look at this group, 13 to 17, it goes up to 60%. And these are the people that in 20 years' time will have our seats. They are the future scientists.
I'm not sure, but please continue.
Okay, may I rewind? These are the people that in 50 years' time will have our seats. That could be. What I'm saying, this is a...
Not all of them will be sitting here, that's what I'm saying. Not all of them will be scientists.
Well, but some of them will be.
Yeah, but you said some of them, not all of them.
But anyway, this is obviously... It would be a dream, you know, to have a generation of scientists, but I'm afraid it's not going to happen. You're absolutely right.
Paying for it.
Sorry?
They'll be the taxpayers paying for it.
Well, but ask what no. Is it good to have have a generation of
So my point
taxpayers? I'm just gonna finish the
the
sentence.
conclusion of that those people are sitting over there.
That's great.
Keep in mind that not all of them will be scientists.
Well, but all of them were actually asked to complete the survey anyway. But I get your
That
point.
doesn't matter. Not all of them will be scientists.
Well,
So
some
my
of them
point
will
is,
be.
yeah,
But and then the rest of them will be in the popular public, and they will be probably asked exactly the same question. But if you insist, I may rephrase that. Anyway, the summary and trends. In terms of beliefs, there is a demographic and religious affiliation. There is clear conceptual confusion and or presence of multiple concepts in the popular culture and in science as well. Some of them might exist in human fantasy and nightmares, and what we see in here is a epistemological shift from intelligent towards primitive life. Now, I've used example from popular culture. I want to show you what's happened in the science fiction and popular imagining of extraterrestrial life in the past 3 years. First of all, NASA project SideQuest is Alien Safari. It's online interactive presentation where you can pick a favorite life form and see how it may look like, or find out where is the location on Earth where such life form may exist. In 2010, Discovery Channel program into the University of Stephen Hawking, again, plenty of nice picture imaginings of what the scientific concept of alien life or extraterrestrial life or other life will be. Well, no surprise, we have increase in people believing there is life on Mars. And as you see, it was 31% of people asked in 2012. But look at this. Ipsos Mori in 2014, this is the prediction, shows that 28% thinks that NASA Mars rover will find evidence on Mars in 2014. But what's really interesting is this number. It's a 19% increase as opposed to a year before. So people do read the news and they do change their attitudes toward what is the extraterrestrial life like. And I believe that what we see here is a scientific revolution in the making. Astrobiology has grown as a valid field of scientific inquiry. It's a combination of hunt for extrasolar and Earth-like planets to the popular public. Again, it's a bigger picture what I'm presenting here. It has great coverage in the media worldwide. Of course, curiosity and opportunity. They use social media and online platforms. So if you use Twitter or Facebook, you can actually get live tweets from Mars. So again, that's something that didn't exist 5 years ago. Also, you can watch, you have live broadcasts from the International Space Station. Again, available to anyone who has access to the internet. And it has visible societal impact as seen on this slide. And now, what happens in science fiction? In 2013, brand new science fiction called Europa Report, when obviously that's based on the assumption that under the ice crust on Europa there is a liquid water, whether it's been proven or not. But anyway, in this science fiction, a group of astronauts is sent to Europa, and what you can read is a review of one of the astronomers who, the glowing achievement, it's engaging films, strives for realism all around. Science is solid, and the scientists act believably. 2013, unfortunately, it doesn't work out. All of them die, but they lose their life on a way to make the discovery, which may have enormous implication for our understanding in the universe. So that's the first one. Another one, same year, was The Last Day on Mars. So that's another potential candidate to carry life in its basic forms, let's say. Have anyone seen this one? No? Yay! It's a group of astronauts, they explore Mars, and it's really just like what people imagine as work of astrobiologists on Mars. You just collect the samples, and unfortunately, it wouldn't be a science fiction if something wouldn't go wrong. So one of the microbes actually turns them into zombies, and they all die. But it wouldn't have been fun if they would just discover life and disappear. I don't know. That's the film, and that's my conclusion, that search for exoplanets and astrobiology produces new cultural meanings and inspires new stories about science, human life, its past, its present, but also its future, and origin and its place in the universe. And